Good morning, everybody. It's your boy Ryan here, my buddy Jeff.
Hey, morning.
It's going to be an awesome day today. We're going to be discussing what mentorship is, how you can find a mentor, and basically our personal experiences. Let's hit that show.
Let's do it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
And Lisa has come out with a vengeance, like she's
She's always there. I mean, you can count on it. I put money on her being the first one. I dropped some serious cash on
that. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Ashley. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Hi, Ashley.
And we got, let's see here, LinkedIn user. I'm pretty sure this is my sister. So what's going on, sis? I don't know why your stuff doesn't show up.
Hi, sis.
Exactly from there. As everyone can tell, Jeff has a beautiful tan today. So he's been relaxing, looking really, really well there. How's vacation, man? Just tell us a little bit about what you did.
You know what? I haven't taken a vacation in a while, except last year when I went to the Landstar convention down in Orlando. I wouldn't even call that a vacation, but I needed it, man. It's great just to sit back, relax. I just had a pad of paper and a pencil, and I just started going to town, just watching the waves crack with no interference. It was great, man. I got to do that more often. I really do.
You really do. You really do. I saw on, and this is completely off topic, but I saw like on TikTok, there's this like one person I follow, and they have a rule where they go out every week. Every 2 months they go away for a weekend, and then every year they go away for a week, right? And that's strictly for their marriage and strictly for themselves, right? And I think my wife and I, we do date nights. It's really important for us to do date nights every week, right? To kind of do different things, right? So what was the top things you kind of learned, like while you're out there, like some things that you're like, okay, I can't get back into work, but like what are some
what? Yeah. Looking more into my inner self, if that makes any sense. It's like every day that I sit in this chair and I talk to my partners and everything, it's always about them. And I kind of lack, the effort of putting the same kind of effort into them, into myself. And so, being able to go away with my wife and she's laying out, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Even though I got color, I just went and I sat there and I just started jotting down notes, not a worry in my mind, just laser focused in on what I wanted to accomplish. And it came out pretty good. There's a lot of things I'm going to implement over the next quarter, especially starting out next year. I'm sure people will see it, and it's going to be great. I really needed to do that. You know what? You need to do it too. Everybody out there needs to do it, and even you don't even have to take your spouse. I know that sounds bad, but sometimes you need me time.
Yes.
Just whether you go out into the mountains, into the woods, at the shore, just take some time out for yourself to think deeply, if it's meditation or whatever it is, and really get into you, if that makes any sense.
And that's actually perfect for today's segment. And as you mentioned, the shore, I think, like as you said, leave our spouses at home. So Jeff and I are going to be hitting up the Jersey Shore this fall. So we'll get our fists bumping on, and we'll get there. So let's say good morning to James.
Hey, James.
Morning to my brother Daman. And as
Lisa said, Daman.
Yes, me time. So let's get into it. Today is something that I love. I think it's one of the most important things in terms of your personal, your professional. Good morning, Scott. Always love to see you in a
hey,
show.
Scott.
Mentors and mentorship. I think that I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a mentor in my personal and professional life. Jeff, obviously a lot of experience, tons of experiences. You could always learn. You could always be that student. What are your thoughts on mentors and mentorship?
Boy, man. Over my career, and I'm thinking, and that's what I love about this show, because you never know what you're going to talk about. No, this isn't a setup, folks. We didn't talk about and how we're going to answer questions this is live stuff. This is stuff that's just ask and prompt to, you just have to think about it. And when I think about these kind of stuff, I think about the bosses that I've had and the impact that they had on me and my life. And part of the reason why I stayed in the logistics field. Now, Some people know my background, some people not, but I started from the ground up, from loading trucks and driving forklifts and stocking shelves and picking orders. And, I really learned a tremendous amount of stuff from, in the supply chain, from cradle to grave, in many different verticals throughout my, my life in the industry. And I never was pigeonholed into one separate area because I never wanted to be an expert in one area. And a lot of my mentors, drilled that into my head, that one never knows what kind of questions that you'll have over your lifetime in logistics or supply chain, because any question can pop up at any time, and you have to be intelligent enough to have that conversation, to tell somebody how to do something or where to find it. So that's like in a nutshell, really quick, of how I learned. A lot of my bosses that I had, I'm really good friends with. Ironically enough, a guy that I work with, who was who I reported to, is now working for me. That doesn't happen too often, Um, all my bosses I've had friendships over the last 35 years. A lot of them have opened up the doors for me, because they know the way that I operate. I really haven't changed anything over that period of time in 35 years. I just redevelop it because every day is a learning experience. And if you're not learning, you're not moving forward. Whether you're reading or talking to an individual. So as far as mentorship is that's what the legacy, or what I try to do, is do the same thing that my bosses did for me. When I had, a plethora of people reporting to me, I always had that open door policy, and it didn't matter what kind of project, how large it was. I dropped it as soon as they came through that door, because they were more important than what I was doing. There was a reason why they came through that door. And so I wanted to hear them out. I want to be empathetic. They weren't just a worker or an associate. Many of them were friends. And I helped to direct them and develop their own careers. And we had a thing, Ryan, called, when I was with Snyder National, it was called MAP. And it was called Management Assessment Program. And what you had was the ability to pick out an individual that worked for you and create and help them get to the next level within the company. Yeah. And I did that a couple times, and people know who they are out there. I'm not going to mention names, but they moved up into director and C-level positions. And it really makes you feel great inside when you're able to help somebody like that. So, I'm really happy that I had those mentors that I can give now. I've taken a lot, and I'll always direct people in the right area. I won't do it for them. I don't believe in it, because if you physically do it yourself and create it, you're going to learn more from it than watching somebody do it for you and then say, fill in the cells, add this, add that. It's all goal and objective teaching, being that here's your goal. Here's your objective. How are you going to get to it? Yeah. Go, and then they come back in, and then they ask questions, and that's how you develop and mentor them through each project. So, I'm just blessed with the bosses that I had.
And that's an amazing thing, because I'm the same way. I've always had a good boss. But before we actually get into what I kind of got to say here, is that Scott brings up a great point. Not sure I can see Jeff fist bumping in the Jersey Shore, but little does the viewers know that, fist bump. Yeah, Jeff's alter ego is DJ Jeff ED. So he's got the spiked hair. He does all that stuff. So in the comments, and everybody on watching this video right now, what kind of mentors have you guys have, and what kind of advice have they given you? Yeah, kind of share that, because like it is something that everybody should get. For me as mentors, like as you mentioned, you don't want to teach somebody. I believe that if you're going to be a mentor, or you're somebody who wants to be mentored, you're learning how to fish. But if you were to go up to somebody and you ask them, hey, I want a fish sandwich, like that's where you run into problems, right? You want to be that person who is coachable, and you want to get one. In terms of mentorship, for me, I've been lucky. I've been at three jobs in my logistics career, and every single place that I've worked at, the person who was my manager, they've I've never had a micromanager. I've never had somebody to I've had somebody being open. Same thing like you just said, Jeff. Like if they were busy doing something and I kind of knocked on their door, they would drop everything and help me out.
That's a good leader.
And they all are. They're all amazing. And you know what? They've all guided me. And the one thing I've kind of learned is that if you look at our industry and any kind of industry with sales, leaders are usually promoted because they're amazing at being in sales, right? Like you sometimes when like you're the top guy, you kind of move up into that role because you're good at selling. And then the next part of your career development is learning how to manage people and learning different things like how to run an office and all that fun stuff. So people are always kind of willing. So those guys are the top performers. I know when I kind of started off at different places, I would kind of shadow the top guys, you know, because you want to see what they're kind of doing, how their conversations, how they're going, and then you kind of pick out from there. In terms of like professional, so we've kind of nailed down the professional. In your personal life, because for me, I'm a big person of finding mentors for different facets of my life. I'm a pretty religious guy, so like even like our pundits and our gurus and stuff like that, I look for them for guidance, like how to kind of live that kind of righteous life or anything like that. Or even I'm a music, as everybody can see, I got instruments in the background. I've been playing music since I was like 5 or 6 years old. So I have that teacher to kind of mentor me and go into those things. What are some things that you've kind of looked at, and even yourself? Because I remember you said that the Big Brother program and things like that. Where has been a situation where you've been mentored in your personal life, or you've been that mentor to someone's life?
Yeah, and you know, it's all surrounding business. That mentorship, like Big Brother and stuff like that. Now, I've learned over my career and for myself that it's better to give than receive. So I am sponsoring a lot of things now and getting more involved, like Wounded Warrior Project, Mission 22. There's a few others that I'm starting to get involved with, which I will this year. But it's all about trying to help other people get into that zone. There's so much negativity in the world. I'm not preaching to the choir. Everybody knows that. So what I try to preach is positivity, and I'm on Facebook every day in the morning. I have a ton of friends, and I just keep on pushing that, and hopefully that they take that positivity and they share it as well. You know, because it's helped me out. It's changed my life. It's got me into the zone every day. You know, I love what I do, man. I don't work. I truly don't work, and I'm getting more work every single day. And it's just a godsend the way I look at it. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have those mentors over the last 35 years. You know, hey, my first boss that I had was my best man in my wedding. So it doesn't get any tighter than that, you know. And we've had a 35-year relationship, always in contact. We bounce things off. All my bosses call me up all the time and, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, and that would not have happened if I was stubborn and I didn't want to listen and learn. Right. I mean, I would have just been another individual out there doing my thing, and I probably would still be working in a warehouse with no skills. So, you know, I went through this industry street smarts. You know, I wanted to do that. I took a few college courses, which helped me out. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things in the logistics industry that cannot, and I repeat, cannot be taught in college, in case studies or anything like that. When you are on the ground, in the trenches, loading trucks, driving trucks, repairing trucks, forklifts, everything internal when it comes to logistics, it's so important on this side of the business, on the sales, because I keep on saying to everybody, and they've heard it over and over again, I'm not a sales guy. I'm a logistics guy, but I can adapt well because of my, you know, intense logistics background and where I've worked and for the Fortune 100 companies, very complex logistics. So I never talk about freight. I talk about logistics. That comes later on. I would not, like I said, I would not have been able to do this if I didn't have the mentors who said, no, Jeff, no, this is how you should approach it. I'm not going to tell you the end results, but you'll find out. And then you take that and you mold it and you create your own vision, and then you portray that to others and you share that in hopes that they'll take your advice and remold it again and share it with other people on the mentorship side. So I was long-winded, but I had to say it the way it is. So
No. That's what we're here. We're having a discussion. DJ brings up a great point here. Is that the greatest advice that he's ever gotten from a mentor is that success leaves clues. Shout out to
yeah, that's what it
thank you,
is.
DJ.
It's
They
all
definitely do. 100%. And then Damon kind of brings up here that that mentors mine just offered love and compassion, the belief that just empowers people to whole new levels. And that's what it's about, because like I think like you just said, like there's so much negativity in the world. With positivity, you know, you can be kind to everybody because you just never know what somebody's going through, right? And sometimes some people need that push. Like I was kind of reading the other day, like let's say if you're a baseball fan, sometimes these sluggers they go through droughts, right? They're not hitting the ball well, they're not seeing well, but these guys have been doing it all their life, right? It's very systematic, but that's where they get a mentor, they get their batting coach in, or even if it's a pitcher who's not throwing well, they get their pitching coach. So at any point in your life, you can get a mentor, and you should get a mentor because mentors have the blueprint. They've already been through it. You know, everybody thinks that success is going like this, but like success is like, you know, that's really the road to path. But if I have
pretty much.
somebody who's there, who's already been through the trenches, like you've mentioned, like why wouldn't I take advantage of that? And I would never go to a mentor and be like, hey, in my life, there's not, I go to a lot of people, even with this podcast. Like I went to Chris Jolly and I was asking for advice because he's somebody who's successful and he's somebody
Yes,
who's
yes.
done this, you know, and that's something that it's really important that, you know, I don't see anybody as competitors. I don't see anything like that. I see, hey, we're all here to learn and grow from each other. And he gave me some amazing advice. So I think when you go to somebody for advice, it's the best way you can go. And your boss can be your mentor. Your peer could be your mentor. Even the person who parks in your parking spot every single day, who is a corporate exec, they could be your mentor, right? I think one of the
Yeah.
best things I've kind of learned when I worked at a call center, like probably like 10, 15 years ago, is that the most social thing that you can do, I don't smoke, but smoking is a very social thing, and you just never know who you can meet and kind of learn and have those conversations for those 5 to 10 minutes. In the same way, you can go talk to anybody, you know, open door
Right.
policy. So that's what my the beliefs are in mentorship, is that I'm nowhere where I want to be in terms of where I want to go, but I'm trying to get there, right? And with the help of people who've been there in the trenches, like Jeff, like I pick your brain all the time because at the end of the day, you're willing to help me out. Have you had somebody kind of reach out to you and basically name a time, like if anybody's kind of reached out to you and where you kind of directed them in terms of for advice?
Yeah, I mean, Lisa, Lisa has reached out to me, and I've helped her out in a few areas, and I've been reached by other people as well, and I am more than happy, you know, to give them advice, but it's just advice, you know, how
Yes.
they take it and perceive it and understand it. It's up to them, you know. I just know that it worked for me. Now, just because it worked for me, it doesn't mean it'll be work for others, but at least it will give them an idea about how they want to approach it and stuff like that. But one thing, and I'll get back to about the mentorship and the associates and subordinates that work for you. Um, Titles mean nothing. They
Yes.
really do. I mean, if you're saying, you know, I'm the vice president of logistics for, who cares, man? I don't really care. You know, you need to get on the same level of your subordinates. Treat them as you would like to be treated. Don't be a high superior. And you know, like you mentioned about micromanaging and anything, that's not leaders. That's just followers. They're not going to learn a damn thing. Um, the other thing is, you know, the empathetic side. It will work against you, and it has happened to me where I was very empathetic towards a subordinate, and I ended up in arbitration because I was working with the UAW when I was with Ford, and I caught this individual doing something, and I was very empathetic because I was trying to believe what she was saying, which never happened. So things like that can work against you. You know, it's in this industry, and being mentors, it's like you have to be a chameleon.
Yes.
It's like you're a psychologist. You're managing different, very multiple personalities, and you have to get on their wavelength to have those discussions. It's just like customers and prospects, right? Nobody is the same. So you, in a split second, you make a phone call, a contact. You have to be able to uncover who this person is and how they think. before you even engage in that conversation. It's the same with the mentorship. How am I going to approach this person? How am I going to tell this person how to do something without showing them? And then being able to listen, to adapt, to make that change where you see a positive outcome. You already know the answers of where you want to go, but you don't want to make it obvious, and you want to do it in a systematic, being very patient path to get to that end result. And that's the mentorship side of it. There's no rush in this business. You may think there is, but if you rush, the end results are going to be horrible. If you take your time and you have the patience and you're listening to who you're speaking to and their responses, you can develop them and you can take them up another level, and another level, and another level. And then next thing you know, they may be your boss. I mean, seriously.
No,
Yeah, you got to take your time when you do all that stuff.
that's awesome. Let's get into some of the comments here. Maggie says it's a great approach from there. Scott brings up some amazing points. One I kind of showed here was that sometimes you don't realize that you're mentoring until someone says something to you, thanking you for being the example. And that's so true. Like,
Yeah, absolutely,
even
Scott.
I've never gone to somebody and be like, hey, will you be my mentor? I've just kind of like bounced ideas off of them, or like, hey, can I get your advice? Can I get a second pair of eyes on this or something like that? And then I'll thank them for it. And it's like, oh, well, I didn't know that.
Oh, I thank them all. I thank them all the time. And, the questions that I get, they never come across like, hey, can you mentor me? Can you coach me? Can you develop me, or anything like that? I know where they're coming from, because if they didn't reach out to you and ask those questions, they want to be mentored. They're not asking, can you be my mentor or anything. Like, it's how you take it in, and then you start really thinking analytically, and you're like, yeah, okay, I understand what this person is. So you don't come across like the superior or anything like that. Just give them little pointers and direction, and hopefully they go down the right path. Not all will take that path.
It's about being genuine too, because like, it's not like if you go up to somebody like, hey, can you be my mentor? And then they set up like this whole 16-week plan, a call every Tuesday or something like that for 2 hours or whatever. It's like, no, let me bounce some ideas off you. And I think that if someone comes to you for a mentor, the number one question you should ask is, where are you now, and where you kind of want to go, and kind of work backwards, right? And then DJ brings up, DJ, my boy, we just need to go by the title human being and treat each other the same.
That's it, man. Just be a decent human being,
And it's awesome because like my wife shared me like a post on the weekend was basically saying that titles don't matter. It's the work is your legacy of what you do, right? And whether it be like volunteering your time, or if it's something like the way that you handle people and you treat people, that's your legacy that's going to leave. Like on my headstone, it's not going to say Ryan, the sales chatter podcast. I hope not, at least, but I won't be alive for that, right? But
I know what my headstone's going to say. I'm going to slide in there and go, holy shit, what a ride. I mean, I'm going to make it worthwhile, and that's what life is all about. Every day is learning and developing. I'm not done with my career, man. I love what I do, because to me, it's not work. It's not work. I don't work a day in my life, because I love what I do. I am very confident in my abilities. And if somebody wants to take what I have to offer, great. If they don't, great. It doesn't matter to me, because I know what works. And I, like I keep on saying, I've been in those situations in some very complex logistics operations that a lot of people don't have or had that background. And so when you work in those complex and industries on the logistics side, and then you run into others, piece of cake, man. It's just a piece of cake. And some people just get so emotionally disconnected with everything, because they try to control the uncontrollable, where they just get so upset. It has nothing to do with them, nothing with the company, nothing with the shipper, yet they blow a hairy kniffit. It's just like, why, man? What's the end result? What are you going to get out of that? There's no positive benefits from that. It just makes your day terrible. So you just move on. That's what I tell when I'm mentoring people. They always say, how do you get it? It's just like, don't worry about it, man. Don't. There's other more important things out there.
Yeah, and Lisa brings up a great point, saying here that where you are, where pretty much is huge. DJ brings an awesome point here, saying that Scott, Scott's been amazing. I love seeing Scott. I think I connected with him when I first started
Yeah.
podcasting. He's an amazing guy. One thing that's like big for mentorship that I believe as well is that I believe that where you end up in 5 years is really dependent on two things. Like it's based on the information that you've gathered and how you applied it, and as well the people around you, like your inner circle, the people that you've kind of put around you, right? That's like, what is it? Be around clowns, you'll end up a part of the circus, right? So,
Pretty
um,
much.
it's really important, like to set those people there in your life, and it's not about using people like setting up your life as a chessboard. It's about using to your strengths, and then one day you're going to be able to give back. Like you said, Jeff, you have 35 years of experience in this industry. Like somebody right now who's a complete rookie, can reach out to you and bounce ideas off of you, and then you'll have an answer for them
Right.
from there, and they'll go
Well,
from
I don't think that it really all depends on what that question is, Ryan. But
yeah.
the newbies coming in to the industry, I can just tell them that it's a highly rewarding industry if you just have the patience. Don't be naive. Listen to people, absorb what is taught, and then create where you want to go. You're the one that's gonna you're the deciding factor in everything, in your life, my life, everybody watching here. You're the only one that's going to decide what is best for you. So if you're open-minded and you have confidence in yourself and you learn, you're going to do great in this industry. I guarantee it. And I was, I told Trey yesterday on his show, I was like, I wasn't supposed to be in this industry, man. I just happened to fall into it because my wife said, hey, there's a warehouse job out there, and the rest is history. And I've been beating her up ever since. No, I'm just kidding.
You're like, you know what? I think nobody gets it. Like for me, like even my story, I love my story, how I got into this. I was working downtown Toronto for like a company that's like StubHub or like Ticketmaster. We were actually ticket brokers, like event ticket brokers. But I wanted to move back home because my commute was an hour and a half each way. And I just basically carpet bombed, like I just resume bombed everybody on this Indeed.ca. And there was this one company that called me and they offered me an interview. It was for logistics coordinator, but it was very vague to find the information. So I looked up the building and I saw there was a Prime America office in there. So for me, I thought Prime America was a scam. So I canceled it. I said, no, I'm not doing this. But then I waited a couple of days and then I called them and I actually scheduled the interview and I met my boss and I had nothing to do with, I didn't know anything about trucking. I didn't know anything about it. I took the job because it was like 10 to 15 minutes from my home. It was 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, everything like that. And I got to learn from one of the best salespeople I've ever met in my life. And that was truly a blessing. I did operations for 2 years and then I went to sales and then off from there. But I feel like everybody, even in the comments, how did you guys kind of find your, like, I know we're kind of coming up with 30 minutes, but I feel like we can go an hour with this, like there's just so much, it's, how did everybody kind of find their logistics journey and what was your first mentor really in this journey? There, and Scott kind of mentions here, never stop learning because you can never stop. Well,
Yes,
I love
sir.
that one. That's amazing.
Nailed it.
Completely nailed it. And like even for you look at the top guys too, like everybody has like a mentor. Like like you think of like Aristotle, like he mentored Alexander the Great. We always think of Alexander the Great being the great conqueror and everything like that. But everybody has a mentor, so I think you should definitely utilize it. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people, and it's even people that you don't even have to reach out to. Like if you see somebody on YouTube or somebody that has a principle, look at David Goggins, right? Like if you want to run a marathon, he might be your mentor, right? Just watching his motivational videos and all that stuff. For me, like in terms of, I like the positivity, the mentorship, everybody wanting to kind of get a mentor to kind of take them to the next level. For you, Jeff, like you said, to kind of get back to it, I know you were on the show yesterday with Trey, which was awesome, by the way. How do you find that, like you said, I know you've mentioned on the show quite a bit that people are not calling, new brokers are not calling, they're not saying the right things, right? And they're making jobs for people like us easier. Patience is number one that you always think, but what's another piece of advice that you would give to anybody kind of like starting off in terms of, hey, what's the best practices really?
Knowledge, education, understanding, patience. You're not going to hit a home run coming out of the gate. Do your homework on every person that you reach out to. I put a poll out there, and since I was on vacation, I didn't really get to take. I didn't look at it lately. But some people say it's quantity of calls compared to quality of calls, and I've been on that receiving side, guys, and I'm telling you, please listen to me. I received broker calls for over 35 years, and the crap that they said immediately wanted me to hang up the phone. And I'm telling you, the most meaningful conversation that you can have with a prospect is educate yourself. Know the person that you are talking to. Know that company like the back of your hand. Investigate, dig in, and then when you have their call, when you make that call, you're going to have a meaningful conversation with that individual about himself and his company. Do not repeat, do not talk about freight. Everybody that makes a call to an operations manager, a logistics manager, a traffic manager, a procurement manager always starts off, and I've heard this a billion times, literally, I have the best rates. I can guarantee capacity. Don't do it. I'm telling you right now, you want to make a lot of money, you want to have impact, do your homework. Greg Cornett will back me up on this. John Brewer will back me up on this. I've never spoken to John and mentioned freight at all. Greg Cornett, I've never mentioned freight at all. I've worked for large companies and I know what not to say. And trust me on this, the benefits will outweigh the wasted time of 100 calls a day. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Do not do it.
Don't waste your time with that. And you know what? It's not about numbers. And DJ brings up great for it. Find a mentor who's successful in this industry. And another point I'll probably end off in is that even when you look for a mentor, get references. In terms of like, make sure you do your research on the mentor, right? Because we can see like, LinkedIn, somebody could be putting up best content. You think that they're extremely successful and they're really not, and or maybe their ways are different from yours. So do the research on people and basically accelerate yourself from there.
And for all the shippers out there, and I forgot to mention this, listen, as a business owner, as well as a broker, a consultant, right? So we're doing the homework on our contacts, the people that we're reaching out to in their company. Well, let me tell you something. If you're a shipper out there and you're listening to the show, you do the same. Make sure you do a background check on the people that are making those phone calls. Identify who that person is, look at their profile, who they worked for, what their niche is, look at their references, background. That's what I tell everybody about myself. Look at, just look at the profile and the references. It speaks volumes. And if it's the niche in which you work in and they work in, it's a pretty good match. You'll have a pretty good whatever. But don't be that sales guy that you're a jack of all trades and you can handle everything. Like one call, we do it all. Nah, it's not going to work.
I always love hearing jack of all trades because like the full quote is jack of all trades, master of none. So it's like, why would you want to be that, right? And then James brings up a great thing from like, his kind of journey, being part stocking to answering phones to dispatch to ops to sales rep to now a sales VP. Congratulations, James. That's honestly amazing. Maybe we should have you on the show on our Tuesdays, and kind of hear it. But learn from everybody. And I think that's the one thing I'm gonna lead off here with is like, always be an ongoing student. You just never know. And like I said, you don't need to physically talk to somebody or have somebody around to meet somebody to be a mentor. You can take principles from different people, books, audiobooks, videos, TED Talks, all those fun stuff. There's just so much resources out there for us to make excuses of, hey, I'm stuck. Woe me. I'm not gonna go from there. Jeff, any kind of final thoughts before we kind of let everybody go and go crush it today? And
thanks for everybody for watching this. Hopefully this drove something home for you that you had to take away. Look me up. You can always reach out to me, bang questions off me. I'll be more than happy to give you some advice. And if I don't have that specific answer, I'll find it for you. I guarantee I will find that answer for you, and I will direct you to the individual who could definitely help you better than myself. However you want to take it.
I love when you always say that, because like one thing that like my second boss told me was that, you know, like I might not be the best baker, but I could find you the best baker in the city, you know. So it just might not always be you, but we can do it here. I think we got one final comment. We'll kind of for the day. As DJ mentioned, James will be a great guest. So I want to thank everybody for watching this morning. Please like, comment. I appreciate all the comments. I know it's amazing. It keeps us engaged. Just so it's just not Jeff and I just talking to each other alone. Please share it if you could find value in it. Please subscribe if you see anything that's kind of going on that you really like. And feel free to send us questions or any kind of topics that you guys want us to bring on future shows. We will be on again, replaying this at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern time on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And like I said, be sure to always reach out to us, always be a learner, and crush it. Honestly, just crush your goals. Thank you so much for showing up, everybody. Jeff, always a pleasure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it again. See you tomorrow.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion